What screams, "I have a crush on you"? Story 1. When the girl turns her head to you, sees you looking at her butt and gives you the "fuck me" eyes. Story 2. If they laugh at everything you say, there's a good chance they're crushing on you. Me. My mom died yesterday. I don't want to live anymore. Her. Dies of laughter. Story 3. Boy. How are you? Girl. I'm good. How are you? Boy. I'm good. How are you? Story 4. Being in college and getting up at 7 a.m. to have breakfast with her when you have no classes at all that day. Story 5. You can tell a girl likes you by the position of her ankles. If they're behind her ears, she likes you. Story 6. Penetration. Story 7. Kicking dirt at you on the playground, then running away. Story 8. Oh wow. Grab some popcorn. This is going to be a long one. From Dave Barry's Guide to Guys. Let's say a guy named Roger is attracted to a woman named Elaine. He asks her out to a movie, she accepts, they have a pretty good time. A few nights later, he asks her out to dinner, and again, they enjoy themselves. They continue to see each other regularly, and after a while, neither of them is seeing anybody else. And then one evening, when they're driving home, a thought occurs to Elaine, and without really thinking, she says it out loud. Do you realize that as of tonight, we've been seeing each other for exactly 6 months? And then there's silence in the car. To Elaine, it seems like a very loud silence. She thinks to herself, geez, I wonder if it bothers him that I said that. Maybe he's feeling confined by our relationship. Maybe he thinks I'm trying to push him into some kind of obligation that he doesn't want or isn't sure of. And Roger is thinking, gosh, 6 months. And Elaine is thinking, but hey, I'm not so sure if I want this kind of relationship either. Sometimes I wish I had a little more space, so I'd have time to think about whether I really want us to keep going the way we are, moving steadily toward, where are we going? Are we just going to keep seeing each other at this level of intimacy? Are we heading toward marriage, toward children, toward a lifetime together? Am I ready for that level of commitment? Do I really even know this person? And Roger is thinking, so that means it was, February when we started going out, which was right after I had the car at the dealer's, which means, let me check the odometer. Whoa, I am way overdue for an oil change here. And Elaine is thinking, he's upset. I can see it on his face. Maybe I'm reading this completely wrong. Maybe he wants more from our relationship, more intimacy, more commitment. Maybe he has sensed, even before I sensed it, that I was feeling some reservations. Yes, I bet that's it. That's why he's so reluctant to say anything about his own feelings. He's afraid of being rejected. And Roger's thinking, I'm going to have them look at the transmission again. I don't care what those morons say, it's still not shifting right. They better not try to blame it on the cold weather this time. What cold weather? It's 87 degrees out. This thing is shifting like a garbage truck, and I paid those incompetent thieving crayons $600. And Elaine is thinking, he's angry. I don't blame him. I'd be angry too. I feel so guilty putting him through this, but I can't help the way I feel. I'm just not sure. And Roger's thinking, they'll probably say it's only a 90-day warranty. That's exactly what they're going to say. The scumballs. And Elaine is thinking, maybe I'm just too idealistic, waiting for a knight to come riding up on his white horse when I'm sitting right next to a perfectly good person I enjoy being with, a person I truly do care about, a person who seems to truly care about me, a person who's in pain because of my self-centered schoolgirl romantic fantasy. And Roger's thinking, warranty? They want a warranty? I'll give them a warranty. We'll take their warranty and stick it. Roger, Elaine says aloud. What? Says Roger, startled. Please don't torture yourself like this, she says, her eyes beginning to brim with tears. Maybe I should never have. Oh, I feel so. She breaks down, sobbing. What? Says Roger. I'm such a fool, Elaine sobs. I know there's no knight. I really know that. It's silly. There's no knight and there's no horse. There's no horse? You think I'm a fool, don't you? Elaine says. No, says Roger, glad to finally know the correct answer. It's just that, I need some time, Elaine says. There was a 15-second pause while Roger, thinking as fast as he can, tries to come up with a safe response. Finally, he comes up with one that he thinks might work. Yes, he says. Elaine, deeply moved, touches his hand. Oh, Roger, do you really feel that way? She says. What way? Says Roger. That way about time, says Elaine. Oh, says Roger. Yes. Elaine turns to face him and gazes deeply into his eyes, causing him to become very nervous about what she might say next, especially if it involves a horse. At last, she speaks. Thank you, Roger, she says. Thank you, says Roger. Then he takes her home, and she lies on her bed, a conflicted, tortured soul, and weeps until dawn. Whereas when Roger gets back to his place, he opens a bag of Doritos, turns on the TV, and immediately becomes deeply involved in a rerun of a tennis match between two Czechoslovakians he never heard of. A tiny voice in the far recesses of his mind tells him that something major was going on back there in the car, but he's pretty sure there's no way he would ever understand what, so he figures it's better if he doesn't think about it. This is also Roger's policy regarding world hunger. The next day, Elaine will call her closest friend, or perhaps two of them. They will talk about the situation for 6 straight hours in painstaking detail. They will analyze everything she said and everything he said, going over it time and time again, exploring every word, expression, and gesture for nuances of meaning, considering every possible ramification. They will continue to discuss this subject, off and on, for weeks, maybe months, never reaching any definite conclusions, but never getting bored with it either. Meanwhile, Roger, while playing racquetball one day with a mutual friend of his and Elaine's, will pause just before serving, frown, and say, "Norm, did Elaine ever own a horse?" Story 9. Considering the post from a few days ago that showed that obvious signals are indeed not obvious, I'm gonna say unless they upfront tell you, you won't know. Story 10. All of a sudden, they start to want to hang out with you more and subtly touch you more than before, i.e. hand on knee, elbow jab, poking, etc. Comparing hand sizes is such an easy yet overlooked method of subtle touching, but it really only works once unless there's a staggering difference in size. You also tend to brag or talk more than you would have done before in an attempt to gain their attention and whatnot, or when you make random eye contact from across the room and they look away as if it was a crime to stare, only to look at you again later. Another small but true tidbit is that the one holding the crush will smile that smile. That means that they're in love. Who wouldn't smile when they're around their crush? It's almost impossible, other than when you're blushing like crazy and speechless as a fish. For whatever ungodly reason, I always try to be near them no matter how out of place it may be. I always try to be strategical with this and be talking with a friend or having a reason to be where I am. Logic got thrown out the window the one day he decided to sit at my lunch table, but more so to sit with our mutual friend than me. At least he knew my name. It's hard to hold a conversation during lunch when everyone's trying to jam a sandwich down their throat so that they can move on to cram for quizzes and exams last minute. And we interrupt this program to tell you that thanks for watching, and if you like our content, please subscribe to our channel and click on that notification bell so you get updated whenever we upload. Story 11. Saying things that make you wonder, why did I say that, as you're falling asleep. My crush used to do this fun thing in theater where she would act offended if I said something slightly offensive, making me scared I offended her. She knew I had a crush on her, I think. I then told her, trying to compliment her, "You're really good at, that pretending thing you do, Acting? Yeah, acting. I'm an aspiring actor, by the way. I forgot the word acting in front of my crush." Story 12. I'm reading through this entire thread and hoping nobody noticed me doing this stuff with a girl I like. Story 13. I knew I had a crush on my significant other when I started to prioritize his text messages over others. We met online. I'm a lazy texter normally, 2 to 3 business days for a reply, but the minute I saw his name pop up, I'd get giddy and have to reply. Luckily for me, he also had a crush on me, and we are now expecting a son in June. Story 14. This one girl liked arguing with me, and then she said, "You owe me a beer." And we went to a bar and she proceeded to show me no affection, so I was a bit surprised when she invited me back to her place. People are weird. Story 15. There was a girl who worked at a cafe who had a crush on me. Sometimes when I would start heading out, she would say, "Aw, come on, stay a little while longer. I'll buy you some nachos." That's pretty damn hard to turn down. So she'd buy some nachos, an employee discount, and make a bad plate of nachos, and then we'd sit and share it. Yeah, that's crush territory. Story 16. I feel like a pretty good tell that I've mainly noticed in myself is when someone acts the opposite social style they usually are around a specific individual. For me, I'm very shy and introverted and have social anxiety. However, if I have a crush on someone, I all of a sudden am able to start and carry on conversations, not always gracefully though, and try to talk a little louder and confidently. I laugh and smile more, whereas with other people, I usually come off a little monotone and emotionless. I get more playful with a crush and so on and so forth. I've had very loud, extroverted, boisterous friends who, upon getting a crush on someone, become the total opposite around the crush. They get meek and timid and shy and overly conscious of what they're saying and how they're saying it. It's really interesting. Story 17. When I was 23, there was this 12 to 13-year-old boy who always sat next to me on the bus on my way to work and his way to school. I didn't mind chatting to him because he was a nice kid, but I did suspect he had a bit of a crush on me because why else would he choose to sit and talk to an adult woman instead of sitting with kids his own age? He always carried a tuba case with him, so it was slightly awkward for him to sit next to me. I have to admit there was something a bit flattering about a kid asking me all these questions about my life and looking up to me like I was the most interesting person in the world. One day, my boyfriend was riding with me to the city. We were holding hands and laughing, quite obviously together. The kid got on, lugging his tuba case, and he saw the two of us and stopped dead in his tracks. He looked so crushed, and he never sat next to me or talked to me again. The look on his face, it really made me feel awful for him. I guess he had to get let down the hard way. Story 18. Constantly smiling at you when you're around. It's important to them to remember details about things in your life. They bring things up in convo, start conversations first via texting, touching their hair, slightly touching your arm when they laugh at something you said. They're engaged when you're speaking with eye contact and don't look away, mimicking what you do, how you sit, your mannerisms, etc. Their feet pointed towards you. Also good if you want to know it's time to wrap up a convo in a one-on-one setting. Story 19. Picturing life together after just interacting. I met a girl at boxing yesterday. She was new, so I offered to train with her. She seemed genuinely interested in my teaching. We both laughed a lot and had fun. I stayed after to get to know her. She signed up for more lessons. We went outside and spent more time talking. She even gave me a compliment on my physique, and I think we indirectly made plans to train together again. Help. I'm 23 and the last crush I had was when I was 14. God damn it. Story 20. When I was a teenager, there was a guy in my friends group who every girl had a crush on at some point in their life. He was obsessed with the color yellow and wore yellow constantly. You could tell who had developed a crush on him when that person started wearing yellow a lot all in a sudden. That never worked though. He only ever dated one person while we were teenagers. They were together for almost 3 years and she never did the yellow thing. Story 21. Is anyone else reading all these and planning to use them to A. Figure out if you have a crush on anyone? B. Avoid displaying any of them so no one thinks you have any subconscious bias, or C. Deliberately use all of them on one person to freak them out as much as possible. Story 22. You wake up in the night to use the bathroom and they're standing outside your door. Sounds more like a murder in progress. Story 23. If they're really open to talking to you, that's a good sign. Like 4 points. 1. When I like a girl, I will repeatedly try to start up conversations. 2. When a girl likes me, she'll always be extremely receptive to those attempts and conversations will billow very easily. 3. When a girl does not like me, she might answer my questions and be friendly with minimal eye contact. 4. When I do not like a girl who might like me, I won't be so inclined to perpetuate a conversation because I know she might misconstrue that. Story 24. There was a girl at work that I would always talk to about stuff. One day I came up to her and she had drawn me a really intricate drawing and put my name on it, laminated it in packing tape and gave it to me. I had a huge crush on her, but thought she was out of my league and we were just friends even though we went on one date together after she had turned down another guy at work. I want to believe that she actually really liked me, but I still tell myself I'm reading too much into it and I'm an idiot. Can anyone tell me which is the case? Story 25. When they go absurd lengths to deny it. Girl that lives on my street has a huge crush on me. She's gone to huge lengths to deny it, such as by threatening me with a restraining order, asked members of her family to tell me she's not interested, blocked me on all social media and changed her number. Okay, sure, I believe you. You definitely don't have a crush on me. Story 26. I waited for this girl's train who was my crush for an entire university year to try and get her interested in me. Even watched as multiple trains that I can take home left just so I could be on her platform. It took 3 months to get to talking, 6 months to getting each other's socials, 10 months to be friends who sat at university, then 12 months to talk till midnight and later each night. Nothing. So I stopped seeing and talking to her. 1 week later, she calls me up and wants to hang out. I said I had a party and she begged me to let her be my +1. We went, hooked up after a few, and she stayed over. She's been my girlfriend for 2 years now, and we're about to move in together. I don't know what the moral of the story is, but I guess trying hard gets you nowhere. Or you don't know what you got till it's gone. Story 27. Not gonna lie, I'm really bad at picking up on hints like these. In high school, a girl told me she wasn't wearing any underwear while we were alone, and I made a comment how it must be breezy in the dress she was wearing. Story 28. If A has a crush on B, A begins to take more notice of B in various interactions and show more interest in B whether or not B is nearby. A is suddenly more interested in spending more time with B. A will find ways to quote-unquote run into B at various times of the day or week. A is noticeably happier and more social in B's presence. A is noticeably more nervous and awkward in B's presence. A is in a state of desperately wanting to interact with B but simultaneously fearing rejection and feeling insecure or self-conscious. Other people also notice such behavior changes for A when in B's presence. Other people or B begin to feel awkward or uncomfortable as the situation becomes increasingly obvious. Other people, B or both, eventually try to communicate to A that it's not going to happen. A is too oblivious or too willing to cling to hope to comprehend this. A finally understands and is heartbroken, but understands that it will not work out. A is embarrassed and is deeply upset that A had hurt someone they care about so much, aka B, but making B uncomfortable. A wants to move on but is incapable. A enters a depressive spiral that lasts for several years, possibly with no end in sight. A gradually improves over time but is still in pain and longs for an impossible future or a changeable past. A is happy to see B move on with their life and grow to become happy and successful, despite A being incapable of this. Results may vary at this point. I have some issues to work out. Avoid similar situations at all cost. No matter the temptation, it will destroy you. Story 29. I was thrown a curveball. A girl I know out of the blue started talking to me more, sending me funny things, etc. When we hung out, she would put pics of me on her Snapchat. She started to take an interest in motorcycles, my passion, even though she had never been interested before. She also began to do this trust fall type of thing, where she'd routinely fall all over me. She would wrestle me and constantly poke me too. I thought, okay, this girl totally has a crush on me. When I broached this subject, she acted slightly offended and denied ever liking me. I felt like a massive idiot. See why guys suck at making moves sometimes? Because a girl like that will just leave us forever questioning our judgment. Story 30. Always catching them staring at you is probably the best universal sign. Story 31. When I kidnap you and hold you captive in my basement. I hate when that happens. Story 32. No normal behavior should be taken as absolute evidence of a crush. That's how people get in trouble or make trouble for themselves. People are both incredibly complex and can also be really dumb about how they present themselves. Ask yourself how many times you intended to put out some message or social cue, and it was either completely ignored, or you later realized the other person probably misinterpreted it, or you could have expressed it better, and assume you're going to be on the receiving end of that. And no, someone showing interest in you as a person doesn't mean they want to ride your wiener or lady wiener. Some people are just sociable. It's easy to forget that, as many of us are a bunch of weird internet social idiots. Story 33. Staring, licking lips, while at the same time slowly moving their index finger in an anti-clockwise direction around their left nip. Only on the left, and only ever anti-clockwise. The other direction opens the door to the basement, the rear door. It can be messy down there. What did I just read? Story 34. Don't know if she had a crush on me or not. Maybe someone out there is a better judge than I am. I work in retail at a restaurant and bakery, and a good number of attractive girls eat and shop there regularly. On Tuesday, a group of 4 or 5 young women walked up to my register and ordered some food. They ordered separately but sat in the same table, so I had to take their orders individually. The second one to order was really pretty, and I asked her how she was doing, what she would like for lunch, etc. Don't make a huge deal out of this, that's just my normal routine. She says she's doing well and would like one of our sandwiches. All of our sandwiches come with either chips, a quinoa salad, or a side salad, up to the person ordering. So I asked her which one she wanted. She smiled at me and asked, "What's a quinoa salad?" I spent about 20 seconds explaining what it was, and she just kept looking at me and smiling. Then asked, "Now, what were the other choices again?" I told her chips or side salad, and she started to ask, "Now, what's in the side salad?" "Oh, duh. I love the chips here. I'll just get those." We both laughed as I ran the transaction, and I told her I hoped she would enjoy her meal and have a great rest of her day. She smiled again and was like, "Thank you, you too." And then as she walked away towards her table, she glanced back at me and grinned again. Well then, only a matter of time until you get married.